You ever run into that situation with a customer? Like they're ready, wallets out, ready to buy, but your system, your ERP, throws up a big old credit hold. You're talking about frustrating, right? Especially for a small business. Gotta keep things moving. So today we're gonna, deep dive into how to handle that kind of scenario specifically in Acumatica.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real workflow killer.
Mhm.
We'll look at how to keep that momentum going, even when dealing with customers who might be on credit hold.
And for this deep dive, we have Balaji from Tayana Solutions with us. He's a principal functional consultant, over 13 years in the ERP world, knows Acumatica inside and out, worked with tons of clients, over 500 different unique situations he's tackled. So he's got a real practical, view of these kinds of challenges.
Right. He really gets it. And that's why we're focusing on this specific problem.
Hmm.
The system blocking you from creating a sales order or even a quote just because a customer's on credit hold.
Yeah, it's like even if their account's active, bam, that credit hold just brings everything to a screeching halt.
And it makes sense to have some safeguards in place for credit issues, right? But sometimes it just gets in the way of like even starting the conversation with a customer or doing some initial processing internally. What Balaji found, though, is there's um, I guess you could call it a workaround, a way to configure those order types within Acumatica to make things a little smoother.
Okay, so let's get into that. What's the secret sauce here?
So it's all about those order types, the settings for sales orders and quote orders specifically. What Balaji realized is that if you set that whole document on fail to true for your sales orders, and then make sure that same setting is false for your quote order types, the QD ones. It gives you some much needed wiggle room. You can think of those order types like blueprints for your sales documents, each one with its own rules.
So you've got those settings in place. Then what? What happens when you try to actually create the order or the quote for a customer who's on credit hold?
Well, the system will let you actually create the thing, the order or the quote. The big difference is with the sales orders, because you have that whole document on fail set to true, it'll likely get flagged right away. Credit hold, see, but at least you got it in the system, ready for review. And with the quotes, since that setting's false, you can still give the customer the pricing info they need, get the ball rolling without hitting that wall up front.
Ah, clever. So you're not just ignoring the credit control, you're just managing when it kicks in.
Exactly. You can keep talking to the customer, send out those quotes, or get things moving internally, even with that credit hold hanging over things. But Balaji, he really emphasizes you got to keep an eye on those credit statuses for any sales orders that do get through. This is about flexibility, not throwing your credit policies out the window.
Gotcha. Can you give us a real world example how this might actually play out?
Sure. So say you have a really good customer, but they hit a snag temporary credit hold. Normally you'd be stuck, right? Clear that hold before you can even make a quote for them. But with this setup, you can get that quote out the door, keep the sales conversation going. Or say you need to get an order into the system, even though there's a hold, something urgent internally. Well, the sales team can do that, knowing it'll get flagged for credit review. Keeps things moving.
So it's all about understanding those settings, right? How they work with the whole credit status situation.
Yep. It's about tweaking Acumatica, getting it to work the way you need it to,
Hmm.
smoother operations, even when you're dealing with these credit hiccups.
And speaking of making Acumatica work for you, if you're out there pulling your hair out over similar situations or just wanting to make your Acumatica system really sing, those folks over at Tayana Solutions, they're the experts. They're a top-tier Acumatica services partner, tons of experience. So if you're thinking about, streamlining processes, getting those tricky support cases solved, or just upskilling your Acumatica team, give them a shout.
Yeah, they've seen it all, worked on so many different implementations and configurations. They'll know exactly what to do.
Absolutely. And if you want to find out how Tayana Solutions can help you, get your Acumatica system humming and overcome these kinds of challenges, their number is 678-910-2774. Give them a call, set up a chat.
Even a quick conversation can make a huge difference in how efficiently you run things.
And so that brings us to the final thought for today. What we really want you to think about is this. How can understanding your ERP system, really digging into those configurations, how can that make your business more nimble, more efficient?